facilitator is Rita Kusi. Rita Kusi is a highly respected, knowledgeable, passionate, and strategic human resource professional with 18 years experience as a generalist in the field, working as director of the largest private-owned condominiums, which are flats in the US, and transitioning to consultancy, providing services to SMEs, corporate businesses, and institutions, with over 8 years as a consultant leveraging technology to provide digital HR services, HR assessment, auditing, recruitment, and training to support companies ranging from fast-moving consumer goods, FMCGs, environmental, educational, healthcare, and insurance, hospitality, real estate, agriculture, technology, NGOs, just to name a few, with a proven track record in developing human resource functions and systems, employee relations and engagement, reward and compensation, team and performance management in both matured and emerging and developing markets. Our consultancy has served clients in the US, Hong Kong, and West Africa. Our specialties include virtual recruitment, talent acquisition and management, HR policy and procedure implementation, performance management, employee relationship management, HR consulting, career coaching, and counseling. Wow, that's a very impressive profile, Kusi. I think after this session, I'll be talking to you on how you can become my mentor, because I'm fully blown by that bio. By the way, my name is Omotayo Saba. I'm one of the organizers of the HR Tech.
Okay.
We had Rotimi for the initial session, who will be coming back afterwards to continue the program. Without much further ado, I would like to hand over to Kusi so that she can blow us away. Thank you.
Oh boy, no pressure, no pressure. Yeah, that was definitely a mouthful, you know. I don't know if that was me, but I'm really excited to be here. In a nutshell, I'm a human resource consultant, human resource generalist. You know, I've worked in the US where I gained my experience, and I run a boutique consultancy in Ghana, and we also provide services to clients in Nigeria, in the US, and we have one client in Hong Kong. So I'm very excited to be here. 30 minutes is not enough time, but I'm gonna try to, you know, summarize everything that I have to say about employee engagement. So thank you very much, Tayo, for the introduction. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen right now. All right. Hold on, that's the wrong screen, by the way. Can everyone see my, give me just a second, please. Let me try to share my slides here. Okay. What does everyone see on their screen? Or what did anyone see on their screen?
Okay, I think that's on the screen. You're not sharing at the moment. Okay, so what I can see is successfully engage your remote.
Okay, good. You can see my screen. Excellent. All right, just give me a second while I go into presentation view. Right. All right, so I think I'm okay now. All right, so I'm really excited to speak about successfully engaging your remote workforce. I didn't always start managing a remote workforce. I mean, obviously, I started working in the office, managing actual in-office teams. And within the past 9 years of my consultancy, um, I've been managing teams with but it was more hybrid work. So like in office plus remote. But within the last year since the pandemic, we've been full on remote. So I am excited to share with you what I have learned so far. So this is pretty much the outline, and it's going to be, we'll go through it briefly within the time that we have. Engage in employees and the employee life cycle, the essence of employee engagement, effective ways to engage, communication channels, task management tools, rewards and recognition, and then feedback loops. Okay, so I want to just start by stating this quote. Employee engagement lies at the core of every successful business. Engaging a remote workforce is more challenging, is engaging a remote workforce is more challenging than engaging an in-office workshop. In-office workforce. It takes time and effort. It's time for HR to get creative and create an experience that is unique to each employee. I'm not sure if anyone here is managing a remote workforce, but would you agree with me? You can just by a show of hand, would you agree with this quote that engaging a remote workforce is more challenging than an in-office workforce? Okay. And then once you're finished, I am definitely curious to hear from you. This is a question that I want to ask everyone that's here. All right. Just a second. Employees should only be engaged after they have started work. Is that true? Can I hear from someone? I'm not sure if the structure allows for it. I definitely do want to hear from some of the participants or even some of the speakers here. If they believe this to be true, employees should only be engaged after they have started work.
Well, I think there's been a lot of struggle around how exactly the structure should work in terms of engaging an employee. So I think the focus for me personally is on the organizations trying to understand how, or they're trying to put policies that would support working virtually and try as much as possible to equally train the managers on how to engage their workforce while working virtually, and also definitely the workforce themselves, so that there is a proper understanding of what is required from each parties, so as to ensure that they have a good working culture.
Exactly. That is so true. And I think for so long, it's why employers have and they still shy away from having a remote workforce, right? Because you're thinking about it's so new to everyone, right? And you're thinking about, how do I manage people when I do not get to see them, when there's not a space provided where I actually get to see these people. And well, okay, so this is interesting. I'm getting false. Okay, I see true here. They should be engaged from the point of accepting the offer. Okay, true. They become employees when they start working. Okay, false. This is interesting. This is good to, okay. All right. So thank you for your contribution, Tayo. Okay. I would love to hear from more people, but because of the time, let's move on to the next slide. So the truth of the matter is, you should actually begin engaging employees when they are potential employees before they join your team. And this is a strategy that, I've tested. I've been recruiting for over 18 years, and I realized that employee engagement actually starts at the first step of engagement with your employee. When they have submitted the application, when they're going through the recruitment and selection process, during onboarding, there are different levels of employee engagement for all these steps within the employee's life cycle. And the reason this has to be done is that, first of all, employee engagement, it lies at the core of business success. All right. I mentioned that earlier on, and that is so true. If you're not engaging your employees, how can they be motivated? How can they be happy coming to work, performing the tasks that you've outlined for them? And also, how can they meet business objectives? Because at the end of the day, it's about employees meeting business objectives. Employees are the mouthpiece of every business, of your business. They are the ones that go out there and communicate your culture. They communicate the things that are actually happening within your company to the outside world, to competitors, to other potential employees. So how are you engaging your employees at the onset when you make initial contact with them? All right. Another important thing that I think employers are missing is getting to know your workforce, right? Yes, there's always been a fine line between maybe being too friendly and, and then also keeping it professional, but there's a professional way to actually get to know the people that work within your organization. All right. One of the key ways I'll mention are like, end of year holiday parties, company meetings, retreats. These are all ways you get to know your employees, right? You have to speak your employees' language by creating an employee experience for everyone. So it's not about doing the same form of engagement for all of your employees. I'm sure most of you have heard about the employee experience, right? Before, we used to talk about the customer experience, right? What experience are you creating for your customers when they walk inside your store? Now it's about employee experience. What experience are you creating for your employees once you make that initial contact with them, right? And employee experience has to be customized to each employee. Why? Because employees are all different, all right? And another important thing that makes the employee engagement a success is that you have to seek feedback from your employees. Are you making changes company-wide that's going to affect them? Are you switching from weekly payroll to monthly payroll? That needs to be discussed with employees. Are they for it? Does it work for them? You have to do a survey or poll them to see if they are fine with certain changes that are made within your business. An engaged employee is a happy and motivated employee. And that's a statement that I want all of us to keep in the back of our minds. An engaged employee is a happy and motivated employee. All right. So the essence of employee engagement, what that does is if you engage employees correctly, it can change their perception of your company. You don't know what someone's heard about your organization before they decide to apply and, hopefully get a job. How do you plan to change that perception that they have of your company? How do you plan to shape employee expectations while they are employed for your business? What do they have to look forward to? What can they expect? The way you start that relationship in the beginning with your employees or with your workforce is what's going to actually progress when they are working within your business, all right? And another thing that it does is it changes employee behavior, okay? All right, so effective ways to engage during the recruitment and selection. And I want to speak more about the recruitment and selection part of the employee life cycle, because that's actually where it begins. And, as a recruiter, I've done a lot of virtual recruitment for companies. I recruit for companies in North Carolina, companies in Lagos, so many different places. And recruitment and selection process is where we actually get to engage the potential employees. And for us, we actually have a talent acquisition process. So by the time I'm doing a virtual interview, I am well aware that that candidate I'm interviewing has like 90% chance of becoming an employee. So I am engaging them differently that I probably would have engaged someone who submitted an application. And one of the things I do is to be attentive. During the interview, I am asking open-ended questions. I am making sure to ask them to tell me who they are, because I am beginning that relationship with my employees. I am getting to know them on that level before they're even offered the job. During the recruitment and selection process, I am checking emails, I'm responding to emails from applicants, from candidates in a timely manner. There's this quote that says, treat others like you would want to be treated, right? It cuts across at the workplace, it cuts across at home, it cuts across in your personal relationships. For so long, candidates or applicants have been the underdogs, and recruiters, HR managers, employers expect so much from candidates. But the tide has turned a little bit, where I think HR and hiring managers now also have to step up and give candidates a different kind of expectation, right? So I'm not ignoring you when you send an email to check on your application. Yes, granted, we might be getting a lot of those emails. We might even be getting them in our LinkedIn inbox, which can be so overwhelming, but we have to try our best to really just engage and, answer questions and, keep potential employees, candidates in the loop on their application, process. So this is what I mean by engaging during the recruitment and selection process. All right, so I want to talk about, let me see, I think I may have missed. Yes, so I meant to tell you in the previous slide about a candidate that I interviewed a few weeks back. His name is James. I interviewed James and it went well. It went well. So I got a call from James after our interview. He was going through the recruitment and selection process, and he says, wow, I'm just so impressed by the process and how you're able to use technology, and you're so quick to respond to my inquiries. And to be honest, yes, that's feedback coming from a potential employee who actually went ahead to become an employee of the company. But that also means a lot to a business. So now if James has this experience where you have exceeded his expectation throughout his life cycle with the company, throughout his employment, and he decides to leave, this is the perception that he's going to leave with, right? This is exactly what he's going to tell his next employers. I work for this great company. Emails. I was getting follow-up emails within like a specific time frame. So that's the kind of experience you want to create for your workforce. Employee engagement is so important. So now let's talk about a few communication channels that we can use. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with a few that we see here. Emails. Emails are obviously the main source of communication when it comes to engaging a remote workforce, constantly checking in. WhatsApp in West Africa, I know WhatsApp is the most popular, messenger platform, and it's actually how a lot of people do business. They stay connected to their community. So WhatsApp is another popular one that I use with my team to do daily check-ins. Hey guys, good morning. You're not in that office setting, so you have to create a virtual office setting for your workforce. And how do you do that? You have to use some of these applications and tools that are available at our disposal. And most of them are actually free. I know that's hard to believe, but a lot of these tools are free. You just have to want to use them. And obviously, it's not about saying, hey, guys, we have this platform or video conference. Let's all use it. Do your staff know how to use these communication channels? What kind of outline, what kind of training, what kind of support, what kind of resources are you providing to your staff? As an employer, that is your responsibility. Make sure that they are fully equipped to use these communication tools, to use these applications that we are discussing. All right. So emails, WhatsApp, Google Meet, and Zoom for video conferencing. Those two ways are also how I do virtual interviews. All right. And then task management. These are three popular ones that I know of. We use Trello at KUSI Consulting to manage tasks, to manage projects. Every year we start a Trello board. So every Monday when we are having our virtual staff meeting, we are using Trello. We are reviewing our board, making sure that tasks from last week have been completed. Then obviously we move them to a different section. So again, with technology at our fingertips, task management applications, you can research them online. You can watch videos about how to use them. They're fairly easy. And these are three popular ones. Microsoft Teams. I know a lot of businesses that use Microsoft Teams to manage their teams. Okay. I don't know if there are any other ones that you can share in the comment section that you've used, which is successful for your business or for managing your workforce. But I would definitely appreciate if you could share that. All right. Let's talk reward and recognition. Action obviously speaks louder than words, right? In learning to speak your employees' language, in trying to meet their expectations, right? And engaging them, what rewards and recognition are you providing? What incentives are you providing your employees to motivate them, right? So, and again, not everything is tied into like monetary rewards and recognition. There's employee of the month, right? You award that to the best employee within your business for a specific month. Customized, you want to create a customized reward experience. There's a suggestion box that we've been doing for so long in office. Now you have to get creative and how do you now create a suggestion box or a way to receive feedback from your employees when you are, managing a remote workforce? This is where you have to get creative and offer rewards that are unique to your employees. Maybe one of your employees loves going to the movies. Get them a movie ticket. I know in Ghana, you get someone a calling card. It's like Christmas. We've made their day, because we use call credit to make calls. So that's, something, it's a simple gesture that is so appreciated. Give your employee a day off if you can afford to. For a lot of employees, it's actually words of encouragement and showing appreciation. I had a call with one of the general manager for one of our clients because there's been some disconnect and, he's not meeting performance. So I had an hour-long conversation with him. And through that conversation, what kept coming up is him not feeling appreciated, And he seemed to be looking for those words of encouragement, and those motivational words that would just give him some energy, to keep doing his job. So words of encouragement, words of affirmation, showing appreciation means a lot to your workforce, whether they are in office or whether they are remote. So we are coming to the end. We have a couple, this is actually our last slide. Feedback loop. I think everything that I've mentioned really centers around a feedback loop, right? So you are gathering information from your employees. You are analyzing that information. And obviously you have to act on it and then follow up, right? Some of the ways to do that is weekly staff meetings, Again, every Monday, I have a meeting with my staff. We are checking in. Everybody we're having meaningful conversations. If there's a topic that we need to discuss, we are doing that just to make sure that employees are always focused on the culture of the business and what we represent. Annually, because what that does is it gives the employee a sense of how they are doing within the organization. And it also gives them a sense to respond to some of the challenges that they may be facing on the job. I like to actually do performance appraisals, then follow up with a conversation with my team. So, you seem to be struggling in this area. What can we do better? How can we assist? So performance appraisals are quite critical. And then obviously weekly check-ins. WhatsApp is like my go-to for weekly check-ins. I'm messaging, how are you guys doing? Good morning. Enjoy your weekend. If it's Friday, just checking in consistently. And then training. Training is a way, obviously, for you to gauge the challenging areas that your employees may be facing. And providing training is a way for you to provide corrective measures, to be able to fix those situations. But again, there's so many ways that you can engage your employees. And I feel that having a remote workforce is more challenging than in person because you don't have that face-to-face interaction, but you have to create, you have to create it. You have to be intentional about creating employee engagement, an employee engagement culture. How does it work for you? How does it work for your employees? And that's the only way, by having communication, seeking their feedback. That's how you're able to actually meet those expectations that they have of you and of the business. All right. So does anyone have any questions? There's one last thing I will discuss, but I want to take the questions first and then we can move on from there.
All right. Thank you very much, Kusi. So far, I have two questions, and I would ask mine as well. So the first question reads, how often should salaries be reviewed? Should it be reviewed yearly or every 2 years? Or should the rise in inflation be a trigger for review?
You asked about salaries, right?
Yes. How often should salaries be reviewed? Yearly,
okay.
Every 2 years, or should be triggered by inflation?
From my experience, I have managed payroll before. Salaries are usually reviewed every year, and they are done within the third to last quarter of the year. So I would say annually.
Okay, that's fine. The next question, what methods do you use to determine employee of the month?
So, okay, that's a great question. Obviously, you would seek feedback from management, right? Because the supervisors and managers are the ones that work directly with the employees. So it goes back to the employee's job description, right? How well are they performing? How have their performance appraisals been in the past? Are they meeting expectations? Are they that employee that they come to work, all the time, or they perform their tasks, because remote workforce, there is a way that you can make sure the work is getting done. So it's really based on performance. That's what I would say in a nutshell. If your employees are performing, how best are they performing? You would have to put some measures in place in your business to determine that. Maybe they can be nominated by other employees. That's also another way to engage your employees, right? Nominate who you think the employee of the month should be. And then management will make that decision based on performance from that individual.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question, how can you get staff to use software for managing productivity while working remotely?
Yeah, I know that's been one of the challenges of employers, because how can you get them to, you know, I think you have to let them select the platform that would work. I mean, obviously you give them a few options, some options based on your business objective, what platform you may want to use for your business, and then let them choose what would work for them. Because what I realize is, if they don't have if they are not engaged on that level and have a say so in some of the applications and platforms they're using, um, they become a bit reluctant. They don't really use it. And then you find yourself constantly, have you updated your task? And where are we with this? And, so you don't want to create a workforce, a workplace where you're micromanaging because of the applications that you want your staff to use. I think you have to actually have them involved in deciding, making that decision.
Okay, fantastic. So the next question, can retreats be termed employee engagement?
Wait, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Can retreat sessions be termed employee engagement?
Yes, of course. That is one of the many ways or major ways of, so, becoming or having a remote workforce doesn't mean that you completely cut off from in-person or face-to-face connections. It just really means that you limit it as much as possible. So retreats, end of year parties, maybe just meeting for lunch, like those things are really still relevant. So yeah, retreats are a major way of engaging with your employees and getting to know them on a personal level. There's a reason why when you go on retreats, there's so many activities happening, right? You're not just sitting there looking at each other. Everyone is not just staying in their corner, but their idea is to engage. So yes, that is a major form of engagement.
Okay, awesome. The next question says, what are the emerging trends in reward?
What are the
emerging trends in the reward systems?
What are the emerging trends in rewards? I think it will depend on the employees that you're dealing with. I know for millennials, it's not really monetary, it's training and development. It's it's opportunities. Are they afforded career opportunities? Of course, salaries matter to the baby boom generation, the older generation, because they have to take care of their families, so you have to look at the generations, right? And the employees that you're dealing with when you were creating your rewards. You may not necessarily look at each individual employee if you have a huge workforce, but I think just consider the different generations and what matters most to that generation. If you ask a millennial, they will be so quick to tell you career development, right? I need to make sure that I'm progressing while I'm here. I need to know I'm going to earn more of a salary and I'm going to be promoted, within a certain ranking. So yes, I would say that you have to look at the different generations and the patterns.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I think we have the last question, which says, what are the best tools for measuring employee engagement? A brief explanation on how it works will be great.
What are the best tools for managing employee engagement? That's a good question. I would say, how do we manage employee engagement? I think based on, feedback from the employees, right? I mean, how would you know if it's working if you have not taken the time to actually speak with your employees? So I think that would be a great test to know how you are doing, as a in terms of engaging your staff is to really seek feedback from the employees and find a way to keep them honest, to make sure that, they are actually being honest when they're telling you how they feel about the ways that they're being engaged. That's, I would say that.
Okay, fine. Awesome. Yeah, there's another question here that says, is there any software you can share that manages performance appraisals? And is there a particular format to managing performance?
I don't have a software that I would share at the moment, but there isn't a format that I would follow. I think it all has to do with your organizational culture. You can be a bit informal when it comes to employee engagement. You have to take a look at your culture and see what really works. I don't have a software, but I will do some research and maybe you have a list of the participants who are taking part in this session, correct?
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, so I'll do some research and then I will circle back to you with some performance management softwares.
Fantastic. Okay, that's fine. We really can't take all the questions. I hope you don't mind if we share these questions with you and then you can.
No, please do. I would love for you to share the questions with me.
Okay.
All right.
That's fine.
So there's one last thing that I wanted to hopefully discuss. I don't know. Let me see if I can share this window. I think I asked Ayan, I'm not sure if you can all see my screen, but a lot of the work I do is it's virtual with clients. I'm either onboarding, I'm performing recruitment and selection. And so we have a virtual webinar that's coming up. And if you are available, I would love for you to attend. It's happening on April 7th. It's a Thursday, exactly 2 weeks from today. And there's just so much to learn, right? I have developed 10 steps that are quite effective when you are sourcing talent. And I want to be able to share that with you. There are 7 templates that's going to go out to all the participants so that you can take part and literally follow along the virtual recruitment process of acquiring talent. It's an automated, it's a fully automated way of recruiting. And hopefully if you're available, I would love for you to join. I'm gonna just drop the link for you to get more information in the chat group. All right, so thank you so much for giving me the chance to share that. Thank you, Tayo.
Yeah, thank you very much for the session. I think you've been able to speak to most of the issues around employee engagement. If I may add, I think primarily for me, and that's my own personal view, is that organizations need to look back at their culture in order to see how they can address employee engagement. And when we start talking about culture, then we're talking about management buy-in into all of these initiatives that ensures that the employee engagement within their organization is tracked. You track it so as to ensure that people get the best experience while they work for you. And even when you leave, they become ambassadors of your organization. So typically, if I get an invite for an interview for an organization, and I know a couple of my friends that works there, I'll actually just say, hey, hi guys, how do you feel about this particular organization, and what's your take on it? So I think organizations need to start looking at that. And funny enough, there was I will put it as some rants or other some information that went out on Twitter recently, I think 2 days ago, about horrible bosses. Were town hunting and harassing their subordinates and all sort of things like that. In as much as we didn't necessarily get the view from the employees side, I think it's still a very big issue within the Africa context in terms of how we should ensure that we create a great employee experience for our workforce so that they can be comfortable and do and carry out their jobs effectively and have a great environment to work in. I think you've done a good justice to the topic. Thank you very much for your time, and
Thank you.
when next we call upon you, you will definitely.
No problem. I am heading back to Ghana today. I'm super excited. So unfortunately, I cannot stay for the duration, but I will be here for a little while longer. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Ian, for getting me on board. All right.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. So I will be handing over back to Rotimi. Rotimi.